The company then tries to overhaul the image of Maeve's pretend partner, Elena, so she can better conform to the stereotype of what a lesbian should look like.
That looks like menswear.
Pew Research shows that two feminine women in a relationship sends a problematic message.
This is the danger of virtue signaling as marketing strategy. It puts a corporate-friendly face on social causes, thus obscuring the actual reality. People are then bombarded with images that reinforce the big business version of reality.
It's so fucking obvious he has a leftist message. I have no clue how it got greenlit. Dude, brother, it's literally made by Amazon. Hey, guess who else is a fucking Amazon employee? And a relatively successful Amazon employee. What matters is this, dude. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's literally it. It's a great show, and it makes them money, so they don't give a fuck. Same with me. Like,
and this sort of corporate do-gooding often provides a useful and deliberate distraction from a given business's less savory practices. This is well documented in Fran Hawthorne's Ethical Chic. In Vaught's case, all the feminism and gay pride distracts people from the reality that the company is a private military contractor with a less than stellar human rights record. In this way, we might better appreciate the boys' most glorious jab at Marvel. For context, in Season 2, Vought is going all in on female empowerment with their new PR campaign, Girls Get It Done.
Can you tell us a little about how girls get it done?
Girls get it done?
Girls get it done.
Girls get it done.
The idea is that since there have never been 3 women in the 7 before, now's the time to cash in on not being sexist anymore. But for all the congratulatory talk, female empowerment is pretty much the exact opposite of what Vought is actually about. For starters, its newest film, The Dawn of the Seven, isn't exactly concerned with portraying realistic female characters.
You rate all women as either unknowable Hitchcock bitches or Michael Bay dolls. I mean, I get that a lifetime of jerking off to Transformers didn't exactly make you popular with the ladies, but a little effort would be nice.
That's a literal Nazi saying this. And it's not like the company has embraced girl power off the screen either. Recall our coerced into spandex Starlight.
I'm fine with my old outfit. We're not.
All of which brings us to that Marvel scene. To summarize, there is one very notable moment in Avengers Endgame when Peter Parker asks Captain Marvel how she plans to get past the incoming onslaught of Badmen. In response, the Scarlet Witch and Okoye pop in and say,
"Don't worry. She's got help."
As more female heroes swoop in to help. When I saw it...
Yeah! Pog! Pog! Those are all my favorite characters, dude! Dude, that shit is so fucking played. Oh, dude, this is liberal theory, dude. You guys say there's no theory stream? I play SNL on Sundays and there's a fucking scene from the Avengers. That's it.
Tons of kids went ape because Marvel was finally letting their female heroes shine.
I'm fucking soy
For more
facing!
jaded adults, this all felt a little forced. Exactly the kind of corporate feminism that we'd become wary of. And The Boys seems to agree, mimicking Marvel's scene in The Dawn of the Seven.
How are you gonna get through all of them?
Don't worry.
Girls get it done.
Girls get it done.
Much like Vought celebrates their Girls Get It Done after years of being a total boys club, Marvel's scene is a weird victory lap for a company that waited a whole decade before putting out its first standalone female superhero film, Captain Marvel, which also happens to be a movie that many have called a thinly veiled recruitment.
Yeah, that's the other beautiful part about it. I never watched Captain Marvel, but like most of this is still military industrial complex propaganda too.
Tool for the Air Force.
You're so cool.
And that's not by accident. The US military has often exerted editorial influence over movies like Top Gun or Captain Marvel in exchange for access to sick tanks and planes. The result? A scrappy but not too rough around the edges hero who can be turned both into a toy line and an advertisement for the US.
Was it bad? I don't know. I don't really... Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Every single Marvel movie I've watched on airplanes. So now that there is no airplane travel for me, there is no Marvel movie for me. Like, I have never... I don't think I've ever watched a Marvel movie outside of an airplane setting, which is probably the worst place to watch it because it's supposed to be made for like the big screen and shit. But I literally only watch them because I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm flying. This is available. I will watch it. They're all right. They're not like... They're not like, you know, horrible. I don't have like... I don't make it my identity that I like, I hate cape shit or whatever. But as someone who is an actual soy-facing fan of comic books who grew up on comic books, who would literally fucking sit at Borders and like read as many comic books as I possibly could fit into a single day throughout the summers that I spent in the United States of America. I have to say that like a lot of those, a lot of the movies are like they're kind of mid. You know? Worst Marvel movie is still better than any Hasanabi DS stream? What? What the what? What is a Hasanabi DS stream? No. Oh, God. Of course, classic. You gotta put that down. What is this? Peppers? Oh my God. Thank you, Mom.
Military.
That spirit of her, that sense of humor mixed with total capability and whatever challenge comes her way is really what Air Force pilots are like.
The kind of hero who would never, ever do something like kick a person while they're down and yell, See, in the brand-safe, virtue-signaling realm of corporate social justice, everything has to play well with a large audience. And so all the corporations who sponsor pride parades want to ignore that the first pride was actually a riot incited by police brutality. Or how those who vaguely stand against hate on Instagram never want to go into the details about what that actually means.
And then literally give endowments and gifts to police groups all the time. Like, the corporations that all fucking throw up black fists are also the very same corporations that unironically fund the police. Hilarious in and of itself. Anne bu Anne. Garlic salt. But
The Boys does. It looks like this. 3 women giving a bloody beatdown to a literal Nazi.
Girls do get it done.
Also, congrats, Marvel. You've been roasted. Now, a common problem with the way the word virtue signaling gets thrown around is that the term seems exclusively used against the left. So a sensible question would be, is virtue signaling confined to the liberal sphere? And the answer to that is absolutely not. We just don't usually think about it in those terms. To see what I mean, let's look at the king of conservative virtue signaling himself, Homelander. If virtue signaling is the invocation of issues or values out of self-interest rather than genuine concern, then this is Homelander's patriotism to a T. The dude does not give about America or American citizens, but he goes to great lengths to seem like he has a raging hard-on for the troops and the land of the free.
Oh, and you guys. You are the real heroes.
Not only that, our sociopathic soup is very careful to invoke all those cheesy patriotic platitudes when addressing crowds.
And introduce it to a little thing called God's judgment. That's what I think. Sounds like the American thing to do.
This rhetoric, we might add, is common to all politicians, but especially those on the right.
But if you've served with our amazing soldiers like I have, you would know that freedom comes at a price.
Of course, this is the same guy who downed a whole airliner of American civilians before casually flying off and letting them sink to their watery graves. To see how shallow all this patriotic posturing really is, you need only to look at what gets Homelander upset. Not the deaths of innocent Americans, but rather those rare moments when he isn't showered with love and adoration. For example, when people come after Homelander for accidentally killing an innocent bystander, we see the strongest man in America break down hard. Of course, Homelander isn't alone when it comes to virtue signaling via patriotism. Vought is arguably just as bad. On one hand, the company churns out pro-military ads like this one.
We're proud to fly alongside them. And now we could use your support.
That's right, Maeve. With our new campaign, Saving America.
Sort of like that Captain Marvel ad, right? On the other hand, as Stormfront so rightly points out, it's all a farce.
Oh, FYI, not a real base.
See, like Homelander, Vought isn't interested in actual national security or supporting the troops. All they're interested in is those sweet, sweet military contracts.
And there is only one company that has the product to fight back.
And to that end, Vought does everything from blackmail sitting senators to imprisoning and experimenting on innocent civilians with Compound V. Real good job keeping America safe.
Every part of this also is directly like criticisms of the American military-industrial complex throughout history.
There's also a kind of Christian virtue signaling. You know, pastors who get rich and famous for signaling to the world how much they love Jesus, even if they're sleazebags.
Preaches all that pray the gay away.
Now he's the meat and the manwich.
Like that. And finally, there's what I call authenticity signaling, which is...
Bitch, I don't fucking... By the way, for the people who are saying, wow, this is actually a good show, like, now I want to watch it. I don't fucking stan anything. Okay? I don't put that word on marks, you know what I mean? When I say something's good on marks, that means that shit is real fucking good, okay? That means that shit is legit.
It's all about broadcasting how real you are, as best embodied by Stormfront.
Be a bitch if you want. Be whatever. Just drop the mask once in a while. Feels good.
Of course, her persona is also carefully crafted, meant to rile up her base for her own gross ends. But because she defines herself in opposition to her squeaky clean heroes, her own performance of realness finds a receptive audience.
As if Homelander and Maeve are gonna eat MREs and piss in a ditch with the rest of the grunts.
Yeah, we're filming.
With all this virtue signaling coming from both the left and right, from individuals to corporations, you might be asking yourself one simple question. How the f did we get here? Virtue signaling, even if it wasn't called that, is quite old. They even complain about it in the Bible, when Jesus said you needed to shut the up on Facebook about buying a stranger Starbucks. Well, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he's saying. But our current virtue signaling hellscape may be, at least partially, the result of one industry, public relations, or PR. Ever since Ivy Lee, the founder of modern PR, first repaired the Rockefeller family's robber baron image through heavily slanted press releases and a highly choreographed sympathy tour through Colorado, the world wised up to the fact that a little positive publicity goes a long way. Of course, people maligned Lee as a hired slanderer and poisoner of public opinion. And maybe they had a point. Because here's the messed up thing, Wisecrack. 100 years ago, Lee opened up the floodgates, and now the field of positive spin can be used to rehabilitate the image of just about anyone.
Of course, the very same people earlier today were like, why would Tom Cruise ever come out with a video like that? That's so strange. I don't understand.
Or anything, and that's where things get dark. To see what I mean, let's look at the messed up journey of the guy you love to hate, the Deep, aka Aquaman, except he does sexual assault. After being booted from the Seven for sexually assaulting Starlight, the Deep spirals hard, eventually getting some time in the clanker for commandeering a kid's water park.
I think water's supposed to be fun. Try swimming in the Mariana Trench, you little idiots.
When he's bailed out, though, it's by the Church of the Collective, who in exchange for his bank account, agree to do some serious PR work to get him back into the Seven. To that end, the church makes the Deep appear in some seriously cheesy infomercials, and even focus test a wife for him.
But I thought I got to choose.
Another hilarious thing is he gets exiled to Ohio. Like, it literally feels like they wrote this show for me specifically.
You do, and you're choosing Cassandra.
Now, the running joke of the season is how truly pathetic the Deep is, and how willing he is to go along with a PR blitz that presents such a patently false image. But underneath the humor, we have to realize how fundamentally screwed up all this is. Through the persuasive dark arts of PR, the Deep, a repeat sexual offender and all-around nearly regains his position in the most prestigious paramilitary organization in the world.
Did you catch Malala Yousafzai's tweet? Called you a sweetheart.
Well, she's a sweetheart.
But if you think it's terrifying that PR can rehabilitate a piece of shit like the Deep, then you're going to love this next one. The Boys shows how PR and all its virtue signaling can even make Nazism look kosher. To understand what I mean, let's look at Homelander and his new boo, Stormfront. By understanding the ins and outs of PR, Stormfront is able to revitalize Homelander's flagging all-American brand.
You don't need 50 million people to love you. You need 5 million people f***ing pissed. You have fans. I have soldiers.
In other words, Stormfront.
Another incredible thing is this show in one of the episodes in the latest season straight up just explains how stochastic terror happens via the internet and social media in like a 3-minute summarization. It is so perfect from point A to point Z of an active lone wolf stochastic terror occurring. It's so good.
In true Don Draper fashion, knows how to sell a message to the masses. Basically, Homelander takes all that patriotic virtue signaling he's known.
What is stochastic terror? It's when Trump supporters go and fucking drive to El Paso to kill Mexicans at the El Paso Walmart. That's what stochastic terror is. It's when you get riled up from all the Nazi shit that you see in the media and on your echo chambers, and then you take action, you take matters in your own hands, and then end up doing an act of terror. White supremacist terror is most often what occurs in
arguments
in the United States of America. So, didn't they show something like that at the start of one of the scenes? Yeah, no, I'm describing that. Yeah, indirectly messaging for others to commit acts of terror on your behalf. Yes. Kyle Rittenhouse, an example too. Maybe. It's not as well defined as an ideology. What Kyle Rittenhouse is doing is just being a regular fucking American right-winger who, I mean, I guess you could. If you consider American conservatism to be a terrorist ideology, which I do, then yes, you can consider what Kyle Rittenhouse did to be an act of stochastic terror. Looking for a legal kill in an area that he should not have been in at all, specifically so that he could use the gun that he had purchased, or the gun that he purchased through a straw donation, if I'm not mistaken, to go out and get a legal kill in an area of conflict.
Known for, and appends it to a violently xenophobic message, and the results are
it's
downright
terror via terrorism. It's terrorism via lone terror attacks. Bad explanation. Here's a ban for you. There's no reason for fans of other streamers who act like a fucking 17-year-old who literally went and defended someone else's private property to be taken seriously. You are unserious people, and I'm glad that the rest of the world also immediately thinks that you are an unserious person, because that's ridiculous.
And appends it to a violently xenophobic message, and the results are downright terrifying.
One nation under God. Remember? Right before these godless, inhuman supervillains started pouring across our borders and dragging us down into their mud.
Of course, it goes without saying that neither Homelander nor Stormfront cares about this supposed super terrorist threat. A threat, we might add, that was literally created by Homelander himself.
This is, dude, by the way, that people fucking get mad at me for the Brave Mujahideen take and then unironically consume The Boys and think like, whoa, this is so sick, I'm soy facing right now. That moment alone is literally the exact same thing that I was fucking referencing. That America arms its own terrorists and then creates enemies where no enemies would normally exist. That is literally that.
That a suit terrorist showing up exactly when we needed him to was a pretty incredible coincidence.
Instead, all this spin serves the purpose of a larger, darker message. A race war led by Ava Braun over here.
They want to wipe us from this earth just because of the color of our skin.
Really?
It's called white genocide.
See, Stormfront intuitively understands that if she wants to sell her vision of white is right, she needs to dress it up with all that classic American apple pie virtue signaling. Or in her own words,
People love what I have to say. They believe in it. They just don't like the word Nazi.
It's also interesting to consider that
this is true, by the way, and also, again, there is historic precedent to exactly this, that the American Nazi movement unironically did this, and it led to one of the largest Nazi demonstrations on U.S. soil, the March on Madison Square Garden. Was it in 1939? No, when was it? The classic. Yeah. The famous 1939 Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden. Of course, American Bund did this. Look at the imagery that they use, by the way. They use George Washington. They use the pro-America rally, mass demonstration for true Americanism. They used anti-communist sentiment. And they used like American shields. Now, when I say things never change, this is what I mean. This is no different. By the way, BioShock Infinite does a pretty good job of portraying that as well. This is the exact same shit that happened in Charlottesville as well. Those were the first people to coin America first. Yes, that is also true. So remember, never forget that 20,000 people marched at a Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden. Just remember that. And they cloaked their agenda. They cloaked their Nazi agenda around American patriotism. That's why Derek Black, who is an ex-Nazi, a reformed Nazi, the son of a very famous American Nazi, used to give seminars to other neo-Nazis in the United States of America on how to mask your identity, in an effort to infiltrate the Republican Party. They do this all the time, and they do it on purpose. They have done it for a very long time, and they will continue to do it. That's why they conceal their power level. Exactly, Fish.
Back.
The SS symbol is literally on the poster, but hey, why would you say that? Why would you say that? I mean, they are just anti-communist patriots, brother. They're just anti-communist patriots, brother. And that's how they fucking get the liberals, dude. That is how they got the liberals, dude. When fascism comes to America, it'll be wrapped in a flag and carrying a cross. Yeah, they're just anti-communist. How dare you? How dare you? They are just anti-communist. The German American Bund is just anti-communist. That's why liberals are very easy to dupe, and Nazis have done it for a very long time and will continue to do so, by the way. They will use liberal values like freedom of speech, or the values that liberals believe that they espouse, or the believe that they are true, firm believers of. Nazis will always use against them. They'll say, hey, we're only trying to attack communists who are authoritarian. They're terrifying. Hey, we just want freedom of speech. This is just a difference in opinion. Why would you want to censor us? Why would you want to censor us? I mean, come on. I've never heard of this rally, but it hurts my brain.
They wore Hitler's uniforms, but they wrapped themselves in the American flag. They preached the doctrine of racial and
Bro, that's Madison Square Garden.
class hatred.
Hey, by the way, that's George Washington.
For Hitler had said America could be conquered from within and fall as an overripe plum to the Nazi master race. Jewish Moscow directed domination. We let them speak. When occasionally a lone outraged dissenter wanted to air his opposition, we provided police to preserve order. This was Madison Square Garden in New York City, and not Berlin nor Nuremberg. Later, the speaker was arrested. It was because he had filched money from his deluded followers, and he was sent to Sing Sing to brood upon the strange ways of democracy.
Come on, bro. That would never happen, dude. The unbearable lightness of being a Nazi? What the fuck? Journeyman
God bless
pick.
America.
For the people who are shocked by this, I'm sure you will be shocked to find out that Hitler thought America had some pretty good fucking ideas when it comes to segregation or eugenics. These are all, again, ideas that we gave Hitler. So American racism is so unique and so fucking good that even Hitler was like, that's some good ideas. Yeah, you guys, you're a little crazy, okay? You're a little crazy, but I feel inspired. Very good. I mean, just a little crazy, but, you know, I will do some of this.
Stormfront's own brand of realness is just another cynical way to brand herself. While Vought might traditionally favor the more buttoned-up approach of giving speeches with talking points, she prefers crafting a more unpolished brand, but a brand nonetheless, paying people to make memes and packaging people's bigotry.
Oh, this is just the first batch. I'll have Logan punch up the fear.
Logan?
My meme queen.
Now, the trouble with virtue signaling is that many sociologists and philosophers have said that basically everything we do is a performance. Whether you're going to church, pursuing a career, or getting a sweet new set of truck nuts, everything we do is filtered through how we think others will perceive our actions.
Hey,
Nothing I do is performative.
as long as you're trending, right?
If Starlight wants to do good and be recognized for it, it doesn't necessarily make her good deeds worthless. The problem, the boys wants to remind us, is when people weaponize good acts to distract from their evil acts. And with the world full of marketers and PR reps, it's often hard to tell the difference.
So it's just business then, eh?
Hassan, for example, when talking to a black person.
When, Mr. Butcher, in history, has it ever been about anything different?
But what do you think, Wisecrack? Is the boys right? Can we even begin to decipher what's real anymore? And does it even matter? Smash that subscribe button like Homelander is. Okay, we can't show that. Don't forget to ring that bell. Huge thanks to all our patrons for your support, and as always, thanks for watching. Later.
Oh my god, they did a philosophy of the boys? Did I watch this before? Oh, it's from 2019. I definitely watched it. But yeah. Oh, the terrorism scene here.
And know how the system works. Then we don't do anything about it. That's why super terrorists continue to invade America.
There are illegal immigrants.
I mean, they literally did an Alex Jones, dude. They super terrorists continue to invade America.
Pouring into this country every day, and any one of them could be a super terrorist.
Many are calling for more superheroes in order to counter the super terrorist threat and protect Americans.
What is
I gotta
our
go.
government
Leave for
doing
class.
about this?
James,
All of us.
have a good day, hon.
Stand up right now. I am sick of waiting for some executive to finish his racket.
We are going to hold hearings on Vought and
It's 1:45.
I'm going to tell you something I probably shouldn't. I'm going to tell you something that the government doesn't want you.
And they want more super terrorists. That's
Actually, people are pointing out that the rush to judgment by the left.
Victoria Newman's accusation.
Look, no offense. I get you had
Have a
to
good
talk
day,
to me,
hon.
But why does it matter what some super villain loving snowflake has? Every minute we waste, one super terrorist has already got through. More will come.
It's 1:45.
And I mean, for all we know, these maniacs could have already flown over our borders and be standing
You all right,
next
pal?
to you
right now, just waiting for
Yeah.
their chance to kill us all.
Keep America
Literally the quartering? Yeah.
safe again, and I am so glad that I was there this time. What about...
This is so sad because, like, some of you in the chat literally were doing this 4 fucking years ago. And it could have been so much worse. So be excited that you got out of that bullshit and no longer believe in that fucking psychotic racist nonsense. And you were able to walk away from that racist screed that probably made your life way worse. That made you way, way, way less happy all the fucking time.
I am counting on you.
Have a good day, hun.
Every minute we wait, no, it's up to us. We have to make our voices heard. That is why there's a list of people. Let's show Bob with it.
I am counting on you to show us the way. Don't let me down.
A new report released by an international
Oh, I saw the light in your eyes.
Just take the money.
You one of them? You fucking supervillain?
What?
Are you bulletproof, motherfucker?
Oh, please, I have a family, please.
What a wonderful world. What a wonderful world.
It's so well done. I got fucking goosebumps. It's so fucking well done, dude. I used to think Pimp Tool is an honest and good news source. No, Pimp Tool is just a fucking gateway drug. Pimp Tool is a literal gateway drug to precisely that. Okay? That is stochastic terrorism. You know this shit works because literally every conspiracy which are only allowed to exist online in fringe places where Nazis are allowed is infiltrated by anti-Semitism. It's why flat earthers hate Jews. They're part of the ban from social media club.
Anyway.
Get indoctrinated to Nazism fringe websites. Brother, if you think anti-Semitism started because like Nazis were banned on the internet, you're out of your fucking mind. Anti-Semitism is the oldest conspiracy. Every fucking conspiracy time and time again has centered around Jews being mystical fucking creatures that want to destroy the planet. Literally,
a year ago.
like, what is it, like Protocols of Zion or something? Like, it's
the error in my thoughts.
Jews have always been considered the enemy at the heart of almost all of the fucking conspiracies. Like, anti-Semitism older than Judaism. Yeah, Romans. It's fucking Romans, dude. Literally. Started with the goddamn Romans. Straight the fuck up. And yes, if you go deep enough in the flat Earth, it goes into like NASA is run by Jews and is fucking, you know, the Vatican is also Jewish sometimes, depending on like what flavor of fucking psycho you are. A lot of these conspiracies merge. That's why QAnon is very effective at like becoming this umbrella shit. Yeah, every conspiracy, I mean, I talk about this all the time. Every conspiracy inevitably has to have a grounding idea, right? And most of these conspiracy theories are simply there to contextualize what is impossible to describe with our fucking, impossible to understand with our human brains. So either you develop a materialist understanding of the world and engage in what is known as dialectical materialism, okay? Which is what we talk about here a lot, or you go to the idealist. You move towards this idealist notion that like there are good people and bad people, and good people are good because they're good, and bad people are bad because they're bad. And somehow, it's always, there always has to be an outgroup, and that outgroup always is Jews. Okay? You have to tie your worldview, no matter how fucking insane it is, neatly with a bow. And that bow always happens to be Jews. So. Weren't Jewish people literally forcing them to work in the banks because churches didn't want to handle the money or something? Yes, usury is a sin, and Jews were not allowed to own land on top of usury not being a sin in Judaism. So they focus more on mercantilism, or they focus more on handling money. They were able to offer loans and charge interest and shit. I took a history of economic thought class with a Harvard right-winger economics professor, and it came out of materials. Had to lie and write my essay like a neolib to get an A, though. The deterioration of class consciousness / analysis as a way of understanding the world has really opened up a space for conspiratorial thinking to fill the void. Yes, you summarized my what I've been trying to say for the past fucking 10 minutes in a perfect way. So, yeah. Did you talk about the AOC type character? Yeah, the AOC type character is bad. In the end, you find out that she's fake and she's actually a villain herself. I can't speak on it too much though, because I don't know what she's gonna be like in the next season. We just know that she's bad. Turns out to be like the secret villain. But here is, you know how I showed you the Madison Square Garden?
The militancy when ?
You know how I showed you the Madison Square Garden thing? And you guys were shocked? Well, another thing that you hear that you've probably heard before from even regular Republicans, not just fucking Nazis, but regular Republicans, is this notion of, I want to listen to this song again because it's so good, but another thing I need to show you is of course, cultural Marxism.
I grew up in a
right?
small
Jordan
white
Peterson
Catholic
constantly
community
talks about it.
Thanks for
Jordan
serving me
Peterson
at
constantly says
Hasanabi.
like, oh, cultural Marxism. Yeah, well, cultural Marxism is just a substitution for what Nazis used to say that is also anti-Semitic in and of itself, called cultural Bolshevism. Cultural Marxism and the Frankfurt School is this notion that Jews got together and destroyed the halls of intelligentsia and made sure that all of our academic institutions were promoting degenerate behavior that wanted to destroy Western supremacist civilization. Does that sound familiar? Because it's exactly the fucking same thing that Jordan Peterson preaches, and it's exactly the same thing that you hear from regular Republicans. So when people say, like, Republicans are suspiciously really close to fucking Nazi ideology, that's not some fucking feverish, hysterical, fucking blue-haired SJW college freshman saying that. It's literally directly linked. Okay? It is exactly the same. They are aligned. Maybe, obviously, not every Republican wants to fucking kill, like, Jewish people or something, and some of those underlying allegiances have changed throughout time. But ultimately, the reason why, as Derek Black, who is an ex-Nazi, also famously admits, there's a lot easier, Nazis have it a lot easier to infiltrate Republican circles than they do Democratic circles because of how closely aligned their ideology is. No, most Republicans support Israel. Okay, guys, support for Israel does not absolve you from anti-Semitism. Supporting Israel does not mean that you love Jews. Fucking Viktor Orban supports Israel, and the fucking consultant that literally ran his anti-Semitic campaign was actually someone who worked with fucking Bibi Netanyahu. Okay? Supporting Israel and Jews are not the same. Support for Israel does not mean you support Jews all around the world, okay? You could literally support Israel so that you have a place that you can fucking exile all the Jews to, which is what a lot of anti-Semitic people believe. Support for Israel can take the form of Christian Zionism, for example, that is built around the belief, because Christian Zionism, white evangelical Christians are fucking crazy, and believe that once the chosen sons and daughters of God take over that entire land, then Jesus Christ will come back to earth. That's why Christian Zionists, not American Jews, but Christian Zionists, are the largest funders of Israel in America. Okay? Because they believe that for Jesus Christ to come back to earth and fucking fight Mega Doodoo, or whatever the fuck it's called, Jews have to all live in Israel and take over that entire area because they're the chosen sons and daughters of God. And then all the Christian evangelicals are going to get sucked up into the heavens, and the rapture is going to happen. And guess what? You know what happens to all the fucking Jews in the end of that? They die. They burn in hell in eternal damnation unless they convert to evangelical Christianity. So, you know, none of these fucking ideas end up playing all too well for the Jews in general, because they don't give a fuck. They themselves are anti-Semitic. Zionism is just a way for them to figure out a place to send all the Jews to or whatever. Wait, what? Christians believe the Jews are the chosen people? Some Christians do. Evangelical Christians do. Yeah. Is this why QAnon supporters tend to be pro-Israel Zionism? Because they are evangelical? Do you not think the amount of Republican support for Israel eventually brainwashes people into blindly supporting it? No, certainly. Certainly. Another good example is when Republicans or right-wing media pundits imply that undocumented immigrants are taking your jobs, just like they did during the Great Depression, which caused the Mexican repatriation. Yeah, the Bracero program is a great example of that too. Another fucking another throwback is like, another throwback to all this bullshit. Another throwback to all this fucking bullshit is again, this notion that like immigration is bad. And immigration from, you know, less deserving, more primitive cultures to America is eradicating American supremacy, right? Like, this is an idea that Republicans believe. If you know a single Republican, if you've ever met a Republican, they will literally say, you know, after at least a couple drinks that, like, you know, Mexicans are ruining this country. Like, they will say it, right? That's just fucking racist as shit. They'll say, oh, we need legal immigrants, not illegal ones. But the reality is, like, it would be better if we have immigrants from Norway, one of the good countries, instead of immigrants from, you know, Mexico, which is one of the bad countries. This is something that Donald Trump has literally said, right? So
white people have
that also ties back to anti-Semitic conspiracies. For example, whenever people say George Soros and his open border society, that is, again, another antiquated anti-Semitic conspiracy that Jews want to destroy the Western civilization, the Western world, which, by the way, a lot of Jews live in for some reason. They live there, but they want to destroy it, apparently, by changing the American demographics and getting it away from the white supremacist demographic to to this, you know, brownish American that is no longer supreme. That's why like the guy who fucking shot up the synagogue in Pittsburgh, the neo-Nazi that was on Gab that shot up the synagogue in Pittsburgh, was a big fucking anti-Soros Nazi who literally shot up that Jewish synagogue because he thought Soros and the Jews are funding the caravan that Donald Trump was advocating for and agitating against. If you remember, the caravan that was coming from Guatemala and Honduras, the Honduran caravan, was going to invade America. And it was being funded by George Soros and his open border society. What did that guy end up doing? Kill fucking 13 Jews in one of the worst anti-Semitic hate crimes in American history. Don't ever fucking tell me that, you know, Donald Trump's words are not important or stochastic terrorism does not happen. I'm pretty sure Hitler low-key supported Israel too. LMAO switched up the Havara agreement. In short, Hitler supported the policy of moving 60,000 Zionist German Jews to mandatory Palestine, though he did oppose the policy of paying for their migration. Yeah, no, I don't know I don't know entirely about Hitler's dealings with potential Jews in exile, but it does make sense that they could use that as a cover, forced, forced migration, similar to what the Armenian genocide is considered still to this day in Turkey, forced migration of Armenians to Syria. So half of evangelicals support Israel because they believe it is important for fulfilling their end times prophecy. Yup. Trail of Tears for the U.S. natives. Yup. Liberia for American slaves. Yep.
Careful, brother, you're about to lose the radical Nazi vote. They're right there on the edge. All they need from you is a hand. Pepe laugh.
Anyway. And I live in Pittsburgh. We've only gotten more anti-Semitic. The Proud Boys are even getting involved in restaurant shutdowns and fighting Tom Wolfe. It's always hell in Pittsburgh. Also, Ottomans accepting 300,000 Jews after they were banished from Hispania helped with the creation of Israel unknowingly. The Ottomans were if I'm not mistaken, the Ottomans were very accommodating to Jewish people. I don't want fucking people to own me now. I might be mistaken. I might know something incorrect about this. But I think Theodore Herzl originally went to the Ottomans to potentially get Palestine. Isn't that true? Don't say Pepele he does not know, because like anything you say in this realm, it can be misconstrued, especially if you're like anti-IDF or fucking anti-Bibi Netanyahu. It'll be very easy to portray me as anti-Semitic. So I'm always very careful about that. The Nazis are right. The Jews want to control the world by putting Chinese takeout in every corner and foreskin in every mouth. Jesus Christ, dude, you can't say that. Secretary of Antifa, people don't know that you're Jewish, dude. You can't fucking say stuff like that. Like, there's no difference between, like, just because I know that you're Jewish from the Discord doesn't mean that other people know that. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Chicken recipe? Chat
You're gonna get me fucking banned from Twitch, dog. What the fuck? Yeah, but they declined. Yes, they did. 17th of May, 1901, Herzl met with Sultan Abdul Hamid, who turned down Herzl's offer to consolidate the Ottoman debt in exchange for a charter allowing the Zionists access to Palestine. More accommodating, they still charge Jewish people extra taxes. Bitch, they charge everybody extra taxes. What the fuck are you talking about? Hey, I mean, this is not my opinion. This is the opinion of other historians, or like historians in general. But the Ottoman Empire was fairly unique in the way that it was accommodating to people with other people with different religions and shit. They weren't like constantly fucking trying to proselytize or change people's points of view.
Been having a good time here.
Yeah, they didn't do pogroms. They didn't do fucking that sort of shit. They charged them jizya and were like, yeah, do whatever you want. Go off. Certainly the same cannot be said about certainly the same could not be said about their treatment of Slavs or their treatment of the people in those in the Balkans. But Alevis and Turkmens had a much harder time under Ottomans than others. Westerners just imposed their own biases onto the history of Ottoman Empire. Yeah. Von Vampy.
Nice news.
Yeah, I'm Slavic. That's bullshit. The jizya was almost always less than zakat too. Yeah. Yes, Selanik was an important cultural center for Judaism that grew from Sephardic expats from Spanish persecution in the 15th century.
Love the stream, King.
Oh no. Oh, it's Emerson. Oh, Jesus Christ. Purdue +3 over Ossoff. Leffler +3 over Warnock. Jesus Christ. Again, I talked about this yesterday, or I talked about this a couple days ago, and you guys, I don't like talking about this, but because people freak out. By European standards, they were more accommodating, but they still forced the percentage of non-Muslim children into slavery under Dev Shirme. Look up the Dev Shirme program. Comparing it to like regular fucking slavery is a little different. Disappointing, but not unexpected. Yeah, it sucks, but Dev Shirme. I mean, here, maybe there's, let's see. Maybe there's a video on it. Maybe there's like a good video on it on the program.
This episode is brought to you by the
Simple History. Is Anya even a history professor? No, she is. Well, her dissertation does revolve around history, as she is in the cultural preservation field, but she's art history. My girlfriend is Jewish, and as a Christian raised freak, I sometimes feel like you when Chad talks about gender theory. Do you think phone banking will help their chances? I don't know. Yes, chattel slavery is what I mean by regular slavery. Slavery in the way that Americans understand it. So the Dev Shirme program is, let's see, I wonder if, because most of it will cover Janissaries, but I want to see the Dev Shirme as well. Okay, fuck it. We'll just do Janissaries.
This episode is brought to you by The Resurgence of Rome by David Montangelli. In this, the any infantry unit. 14th to the 19th century.
Very proud of being a part of this community hassle.
At the turn from the Middle Ages to modern history, the army of the Ottoman Empire was the most dominant military force in the world. Entire empires and kingdoms disappeared on their marching route.
It is very similar to Roman style slavery. For those of you who, someone else also pointed it out, like how Romans would take the children of royals and whatnot and put them through basically like a scouting program, essentially put them through a program where they would become some of the most elevated figures in Roman society, similar to the Dev Shirme program as well.
From the Middle East to Central Europe, no one could match the bravery and excellence of the Ottoman soldiers. The best and most reputable among them were the Janissaries. The Janissaries have left a great mark not only on the military but also on the political history of the Ottoman Empire. When and how they were established isn't known for sure, because historians haven't found texts of this period written by the Ottomans. So what is known of this civilization is from third parties' writings and tradition. The older Ottoman texts that refer to the 14th century are from the late 16th century, and so they talk about what was already a distant past in their present. The Janissaries were created by either the Sultan Orhan I or his son Murad I in the 14th century. During Murad I's reign, the Ottomans started invading the European part of the Byzantine Empire. In this period, Ottoman military power was being structured and was under great influence from its neighboring armies, mostly the Byzantines, whose most effective unit at the time were their archers. Many of them ended up as Turkish prisoners of war during the many European campaigns. Because of their skills and experience, these soldiers were recruited by the Ottoman army. As they were Christians, they were organized as a separate unit, the Janissaries, or New Soldiers. In the second half of the 14th century, the Janissaries became a standing army of the Ottoman Empire, making them the first standing army in Europe in the modern age. In the beginning, they fought as supplements to Yaya infantry, but their importance increased by the end of the century, when Janissaries became part of the Sultan's household troops, the Kapikulu. Sultan Mehmed II made the Janissaries the core of the Ottoman army. He increased their salaries and gave them improved weapons. This was the beginning of their rise in the army and the empire.
So there's two different prongs to this. You have the initiative, the Janissaries, on the one hand, and then on the other hand, you have the David Schumann program. But it's similar. It's the
empire as a whole. As the backbone of the army, the Janissaries paved the way to the Grand Ottoman conquest in southeastern Europe that took them to the conquest of Constantinople in 1453, all the way to the walls of Vienna in 1683. Of the 150,000 soldiers that besieged the city, 1/4 were Janissaries. This period from the mid-15th to the late 17th century is considered to be their golden age. Each sultan who climbed the throne was obliged to pay the Janissaries a reward and give an increase in pay. In the early 16th century, they were granted permission to get married.
Or they would fucking, Kazan called it a lot of they had these like massive fucking pots where they would cook rice in it, right? Like massive pots that are like impossible to fucking carry. And they would flip those pots in an effort to rebel against their padishah, their sultan, because they weren't getting paid enough or some shit. They would do strikes, basically.
Their influence increased with each new ruler. As the Janissaries were the personal guard of the Sultan, they spent a lot of time in his household in the capital of the empire, building alliances of power.
Sorry, Tim's here to cut my brother and my mom's hair.
They were always loyal to the dynasty, but not necessarily to individual sultans, and so they participated in many rebellions against leaders of the empire. In 1622, they even captured and killed Sultan Osman II by strangling him to death when he tried to disband the Janissary Corps when their disobedience became unbearable. Their influence in the Ottoman Empire, however, lasted much longer. In the mid-18th century, there were more than 110,000 Janissaries, although only a small part of them were in military service. They still had the strength to overthrow the Sultan and to dictate life in the empire. Some parts of the empire were even under complete rule by Janissary bands cast off from the government in Istanbul. Their contumacy became intolerable by the beginning of the 19th century. In 1826, Sultan Mahmud II made a decision to modernize the Ottoman army and to disband the Janissaries. Janissaries revolted and advanced on the Sultan's palace. The rebellion ended with 4,000 Janissaries killed and thousands sent to prison or exile, ending their 4-century-old institution. What made the Janissaries unique was their recruitment and training process. The recruitment for the Janissary troops was conducted through the taxation form called devshirme, or blood tax. This was a special kind of tribute that was applied to Christian subjects only, taking young boys away from their families to be trained as Janissaries.
But the other side of it is that because it was such a fucking lucrative and prestigious appointment, that parents would literally try to fucking give their children off to the Devshirme program. Because every single person, every single like important, profoundly important fucking person that played a role in the Ottoman Empire is literally this, directly a consequence of this. I mean, I'm fucking Dev Shidman. Look at me, I'm white as shit. What do you think? Why do you think I'm so fucking white, but I'm Turkish? This is how it works. So what they would do is try to sell off their children into the Dev Shidman program. Mimar Sinan, like the most important architect in the entire history of the Ottoman Empire, is Dev Shidman. All the viziers, the person that is in some instances more important. There were a decent amount of Georgians there, lol. Yeah, one of the